we ready to begin?
Good morning!
My name is Misty.
Come on, Ike, it's time.
We would be honored if you would join us.
The greatest adventure of all time.
We just become best friends.
Yep!
Come on, let's get in character.
What are you waiting for, huh?
Oh, come on!
Hello, Mikey.
My name's Misty.
Oh, sorry. It's
256 episodes.
Yeah, it's still new.
261 episodes, I guess.
It's two something.
And you still don't know my name.
Well, we're gonna mess around and miss our 1 year anniversary episode.
It's true.
Let's not do that.
Wait, isn't this it?
No, it's August something.
Oh, okay.
See, it's debatable between the 7th and the 19th
It's
of
true.
August.
You're right. That's right.
Who's been with us from the start? Give us a shout out. Who's an OG Mikey? Because we're rounding the corner on a year.
So
also,
weird.
leave us a comment and tell us how many episodes you thought we were going to do before we quit. Because you're wrong.
I thought we would get to 100.
Me too.
I really legit thought 100 and
we'd be famous. I thought we'd be famous by 100 and then we'd keep going.
Right.
Yeah.
I thought by 100 that we would either run out of steam on it or run out of ideas. And
yeah,
we have done a really good job of not running out
We're
of ideas.
never going to run out of
There's so much
ideas.
to talk about in the world.
We'll stop this show when we know everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about that?
Yeah.
And we're also open to suggestions. Like,
We
if you guys
are.
have something you want us to talk about,
We will do it.
Bam.
Because it's fun to find out stuff.
we have an email address that you can tell us if you want to be private and you don't want to put it in the comments.
Misty and Ike ruin the internet at gmail.com.
It's a little long, but you can do it.
You can do it. You can type it in. You know what I want to find out about today?
The Kennedy curse.
How did you know?
Because you told me and I have an
Right,
article
I
pulled up
did.
already.
All right. So a couple weeks ago, we did an episode about the Royals because we didn't really know a lot about them.
Yes.
And I was trying to think, like, here in the United States, what's the closest thing that we have to a royal family? And that's obviously the Kennedys.
Obviously.
But the Kennedys have really bad luck.
Yeah.
It's either bad luck or a legitimate curse.
Here's what I'll say.
Okay.
My hot take on this.
Okay.
Their family has had such good fortune and put themselves in the limelight to the point that when something happens to them, it's highlighted. So it could just be the pendulum swinging both ways. The good fortune came, and then sometimes the bad fortune comes. And when it does, it's highlighted, and it seems like a curse.
Well, what's interesting about it when I started to read about this is I kind of thought the same thing initially. And then I realized a lot of these things happened before they were a public family. Like, there were a lot of really bad things that happened. Like Joseph Kennedy, the dude from years and years and years ago that started the whole family.
patriarch?
He was just a businessman.
Well, I thought it was a bootlegger.
No.
Oh, boy, here we go.
He was just a businessman. And so, a lot of the things that happened later on after they became a prominent family, I'm super interested now. Was he a bootlegger? Is that how this all started?
They made all their money from bootlegging.
Shut up.
He was a businessman, and then during
then
Prohibition,
became a bootlegger?
I'm pretty sure. This is my first guess at what I think
That's
I've
even
known.
cooler.
Yeah, this is what I think, and then we'll find out if it's real.
Okay.
I heard legitimate business. Prohibition comes, switches to bootlegging. They made a fortune, like a billions fortune.
Bootlegging.
And then that's how they had the money to like promote their political.
That's amazing. Okay.
But that doesn't mean it's true. Let's find out.
I want to know about that.
On history.com, it says how Joseph Kennedy made his fortune. And then while I figure out check this out. I'm wrong already. Hint, it wasn't bootlegging.
Oh, well, shit.
The Kennedy patriarch amassed great wealth partly by selling alcohol. And then I don't want to sign up for Inside the History
I don't know.
newsletter.
History newsletter's pretty great.
So he was partially a bootlegger.
Okay.
But he also made savvy deals and sales that became extremely lucrative.
Okay.
Like getting into Bitcoin in 2014. Like your boy.
Yep.
I wish.
Well, okay. Here's one of the things that I thought was super interesting.
Mm-hmm.
We know about a lot of the Kennedy deaths. Those are things that are pretty prominent. Like Joseph Kennedy Jr., he was piloting an aircraft and it exploded. He was the first one. And then there was Kathleen Kennedy, who died in a plane crash. Patrick Bouvier Kennedy, who died as an infant. And then, of course, JFK, Robert F. Kennedy, who were both assassinated. And in the recent years, there have been a lot of drug overdoses and suicides in their family. But the thing that I found interesting,
Okay.
there's a lot of stuff that happened to them that's not completely death related. Like just really bad, crappy luck.
Is that it right there?
Well, this is the first one.
Okay.
Rosemary Kennedy. So, suffered from mood swings, seizures, violent outbursts. During birth, she was deprived of oxygen as they waited on the doctor to arrive. As she grew older, she became more rebellious. The family worried she would do something to tarnish the Kennedy reputation. So they arranged for her to undergo a lobotomy.
Whoa.
At the time, which was seen as a promising treatment for various mental illnesses. Instead, the now discredited procedure left her mentally and physically incapacitated.
Wow.
She remained institutionalized in seclusion in Wisconsin until her death in 2005.
You know, when I was a kid, I thought a lobotomy was when they cut your private parts off.
That's a circumcision.
Well,
I mean, that's one part of that's.
I
part
thought
of
I
circumcision.
meant full
Oh,
removal.
full remove.
Cut everything out.
Oh.
Cut it off. You're gonna get lobotomized. I didn't know.
I mean, some people do think with their privates, so it would make sense.
I don't know how you would cut a woman's privates off.
It's genital mutilation. It
Oh,
happens
okay.
in a lot of
That's
other
took a
countries.
hard right turn.
Yeah, let's not.
Yeah. There are certain things I don't want to learn about.
Yeah. So Ted Kennedy,
Yeah.
he was a U.S. senator.
It still is, right? He's 185 years
I
old.
think he's
still like
187 at this
the
point.
senator of Massachusetts or something.
Some weird things happened.
No, he's got to be dead by now, right?
He's not dead, but he's not a
Ted
senator anymore. I
Kennedy.
believe he retired. You've got the younger Kennedy that I believe is a senator.
Ted's 77 years old, which still puts him well within the age range of being a senator.
Yeah, I think he retired though.
Oh, he's dead.
Oh, 2009.
2009.
There you go.
He
Dead.
gone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's not a senator anymore.
How about this? Odds are, if you're talking about a Kennedy, they probably did.
There's one that's in Massachusetts, I believe, and I think his name's Joseph. Maybe he's one of.
What Kennedy is a senator?
Currently. He's pretty incredible. I've watched some of his speeches on the floor, and he's
John Neely Kennedy. He's one of those Democrats.
that's why I like him.
I'm in the middle, folks. I'm right in the
Joe.
middle.
Is it Joe or John?
John, I don't know.
I think it's Joe.
Born Joseph Patrick Kennedy
Joseph.
III,
Joe.
October 1980.
Yep, that's the one. He's pretty great. I back him.
He is coincidentally exactly 1 year younger than me, and he's a senator.
Yeah.
Crazy. We could be senators.
It's real.
Whoa.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about this.
We talked about running.
starting a campaign.
Yeah, we talked about running for governor,
Yeah.
but we like.
But I like Governor Handsome.
Yeah.
I think he's done some pretty great stuff. I don't see it the same. Anyways,
He could lower taxes just a little.
he could, but he's working on sending some people a bunch of money right now. So
Send it our way, Jack.
he's gonna.
I mean, specifically to Misty and Ike.
Oh, he's gonna send it to Ike and to Misty. $600.
I'm down.
Yeah.
You know what I do? I do what everybody else does that I started making fun of for people in the beginning of Pandy, which is the reason why I don't like going to Vegas now, because everybody took their Pandy money and went to Vegas.
I didn't.
Well, everybody else did. And the people that you don't normally see in Vegas are up in Vegas at the
Right.
nice places. So I'm waiting it out
Yep. Wait it out.
because I'm a hypocrite. I'm there on my Pandy money being like, look at all these people here on their Pandy money. Yeah.
Yeah.
Big old hypocrite.
Big old hypocrite.
Yeah. More Kennedy stuff.
Okay, so Ted Kennedy survived a plane crash that killed
Yeah.
one of his aides and the pilot.
Yeah. Do you know who the curse began with? I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's okay. I think it started with Joseph Kennedy.
This guy, Joseph P.
Joseph-
Kennedy
yeah.
Jr. Mm-hmm. Was he John F. Kennedy's brother?
John F. Kennedy? No, the curse started in the 40s. JFK didn't die until the 60s.
Okay. But
Like that guy's way older.
Okay.
He's Grandpa Pop Kennedy.
Oh.
He's the one that
I
died
didn't
in a plane crash.
I didn't think he was the original one because when I look at this picture. What? Come on. What are you doing? It's not scrolling. Sorry.
It's okay.
I thought it was the three of them.
Oh no. It started way before Robert and JFK. It started like a generation before that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He was flying a plane. They were doing some kind of a experimental plane ride, and the plane blew up.
That is part of the risk of being an experimental test
It
pilot.
sure is. It sure is. But here's a couple of other things about old Ted. Because, Ted's a little shady. So
Yeah.
he drove his car off a bridge in
On purpose?
Massachusetts. It was an accident, resulting in the drowning death of his 28-year-old passenger, Mary Jo Capichny.
Was he married at the time?
It said in a televised statement a week later, Ted said on the night of the incident, he wondered whether some awful curse was hanging over the Kennedys. He didn't report the accident to the police until the next morning and pled guilty to the charge of leaving the scene of an accident.
That's a whole lot better than a DUI or murder.
Yeah. There's a big, like, there have been some documentaries made about it and stuff like that.
There's one out now. Let me look it up. Kennedy.
Joseph P. Kennedy II was driving a Jeep that crashed and left his passenger paralyzed. His passenger brother, David Kennedy, was injured.
It's called the Curse of Kennedy. Mm-hmm. Or the Kennedy Curse.
Yep.
The whole Kennedy Curse film is on YouTube. If you want to check it
aside
out.
from the Kennedy Curse, there are some actual documentaries just about Ted and that crash.
Oh,
because
really?
they covered it up, and it was a very big deal.
I don't know what sound I just made with my mouth. I just went word.
I think maybe you were trying to say word.
I was gonna say word and whoa, and it just got word.
Yeah.
Weird. Or weird.
Yeah.
Could have been weird.
Could have been weird and word
Yeah.
combined.
So if you want to know a documentary to go watch, you can Google Kennedy Curse documentaries, and it'll give you multiple options.
There is another story that they've also made documentaries about, which this one I find super interesting. So Ethel Kennedy's nephew, Michael Skakel, was accused of murder in 1975.
Murder.
He was convicted of killing his neighbor, Martha Moxley, by bludgeoning her to death with a golf club when they were both teenagers.
That's
He was-
psycho stuff right there. When you're killing people when you're a teenager.
He was sentenced to 20 years to life, and then that conviction was overturned in Connecticut in 2013 after he served 11 years. It was then reinstated in 2017 and reversed again in 2018. In 2020, a prosecutor ruled that Skakel, age 60, would not face a second murder trial in the death of Moxley.
Wait, wind that back just a second. Okay. What year did he It's 1975. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
But then he was sentenced to 20 years. So how do we get to 2013? He served
It was
11
20 years to life. He didn't get paroled. He was going to end up serving life. It's 20 to life.
Right. But he served 11.
Right.
That would put him at 86. How did we get all the way to 2013?
Because it was in court for ages and ages.
Oh my God. So
It happened in 1975.
So you're telling me they had enough money to keep it tied up in court for 20 years, and then he went to jail
and there's
for
a
11.
whole like conspiracy story
What?
behind all of it.
You know how much money it would
it's
take?
It's deep.
That's a
but
lot of money.
Kennedy money.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Hey, do you want to go kill somebody
No.
and then keep it in court for 20 years?
No.
And then serve 11?
Well, and the story is, I think that they were all
Good
friends.
answer, by the way.
I don't want to kill anybody for any reason and be in court for any amount of time.
You know you got a powerful family when you can beat your neighbor to death with a golf club. And
Right.
you're like, it's cool.
Well, and that's what's weird is that he hung out with her. They were friends, and like they were part of this friend group in their neighborhood. And so they're like, there's so much that they go into about like why it happened and why he did it.
Why did he do it?
I'm gonna have to, I would have to go back into it. It's been a while since I've read about it.
Wow.
Like when this was all going on in like 2017, 2018, I went like on a deep rabbit hole dive into it and reading about it. But that's been a few years.
I don't mean to come off.
Happened.
I don't want to come off like impressed that he got away with it. I'm surprised. This is shock of going like, wow, you could kill somebody and your family can have enough money to be like,
Yeah.
for 20 years and then get you out 11 years later for killing somebody.
And then you get thrown back in, and then they get you out again, and then it just goes back and forth.
Right. It's just how flawed the system is.
Yeah. Like he's if I'm not mistaken, he's free right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, should we hit him with one more fact before we wrap it up for today?
What do you got?
I have all kinds of stuff.
Well, give me a couple.
Kathleen kicked Kennedy on her wedding day with brother Joseph behind her. Here's a picture of the handsome family. Not the Hanson family.
The handsome.
And for some reason, Hitler's in this picture if you're watching. If you're just
Stop
listening.
it.
It's just a guy with a Hitler mustache. Seasoned combat pilot of after 25 missions. Joseph Jr. was eligible to go home in 1944. Oh, what was that movie where was it something Bell, Southern Bell? Where they in Britain, and if they flew 25 missions and survived, they got to go home. You know what I'm talking about?
I do know.
Is he part of that?
Maybe that's the origin story to it. Yeah.
He volunteered to fly a bomb-packed, radio-controlled B-24 bomber over U-boat pens in the North Sea. Ooh. How do you fly a radio-controlled bomber? It's like a drone. It's essentially the equivalent of a drone today.
Yeah.
There's a lot we could get into.
Yeah.
This is definitely not a topic that you can. This is something like
it's a lot.
We can come back next year and do it again and again and again. The Kennedy thing cannot be unraveled in 15 minutes.
It cannot. And I will tell you, I just pulled it up. Apparently, the reason that the idea of why he killed her is because they were out having a mischief night where you would pull pranks and toilet paper houses and ring bells, whatever. And he saw her flirting and eventually kissing his brother. And the next day, her body was found beneath a tree in her family's backyard.
So he had a little crush on that thing.
And she was making out with his brother.
Wow. That's mine. You can't have it.
Yeah. And his brother was the last person to see her that night. He became the prime suspect. And then he was no longer the prime suspect.
Oh.
His brother was.
I'm going to just go ahead and tell you this. This is another hot take. If you're making out with a girl and your brother kills that girl that night, you're going to know it.
Yeah.
Your brothers.
Yeah.
They probably killed her together.
Yeah.
Is that slanderous?
I'm not sure. And I think, I think in one of these scenarios where there's so much speculation around it and it's a public court case, I don't think it's slanderous. I think everybody's entitled to have an opinion or speak on it.
I bet he knew about it.
It's very public.
Yeah. If I had a brother, I would know about it.
Well, and over the years, apparently both of their stories have changed for their alibis for that night. And it's deep and weird.
There's
some
plot
weird
premise
deep
of
shit with the Kennedys.
A bunch of teen movies, right?
Yeah.
Boy.
Yeah. So.
Well, since we're not Kennedys.
Since we're not Kennedys, thankfully, apparently.
We'll see you tomorrow. Fade out. I forgot to do that last week.
Fade out.
And cut it.